Hey everyone. So I finally finished getting that gem, the Mutilation Guard level to rank 80. And here are the numbers. I'm just going to round these up. I'm not going to give you exact numbers. So about 1 p.m. I started doing greater rifts with 30 greater rift keys, and I'm down to 5. Now I must confess that I had about 4 greater rift 80s that failed on me. So this might have been closer to 20 greater rifts that it took to take this down, but in this case I was pushing the maximum amount that I know that I can get done, but I had a couple really bad greater rifts, so I failed about 4 times. But either way, it was about 25, and I was kind of expecting something like that. And I finished about close to 5:30, so it's about 4.5 hours of doing greater rifts to level this thing from rank 0 all the way up to here. And then again, that includes what I was doing. That is, I started off with my legendary gem, and I did the greater rift that was 14 levels above whatever the rank was. So starting out at 0, I did a greater with 14, and that was guaranteed 100% rolls on all 4 of my rolls because I paid for the extra 4th roll. So after my first greater rift 14 was done, my legendary gem was a greater rift 4, and that means the next greater rift I did was a greater rift 18. So the very first, I don't know, all the way up to greater rift 60 or 70 was really fast, and then the final grind of greater rift 80 to get this legendary gem up to a rank 80 was I don't know. I didn't keep track of what time it started when I hit 80, and then how long it took me after I hit 80 to finally get this gemstone from wherever it was at the point, probably being a rank 60 something up to 80. I think I remember around the lower 70, rank 70s is where I started failing getting the greater rifts done. So I'm going to say that most likely the last 10 of this greater rift key were probably close to 2 hours just to get 10 levels on this greater rift. 10 rankings on this gem to finish this out. Let's see, before I started the greater rifts, I went out and farmed 30 greater rift keys. I got 5 left now. And I'm going to guesstimate I took about an hour and a half to get all that taken care of. Because it takes about, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes to get them done. And then after you close the rift, you got to wait like 20-30 seconds for the rift to finally close so you can start another one. Some other stats that I'll show is I had started out with a Paragon level of 1060, and that was when I started doing the very first Greater Rift 14, and here I ended up at Paragon level 1066. So I figure if I didn't wipe like those 4 Greater Rifts, I'd be probably close to 1063 maybe, something like that. But either way, I got about 6 levels, and I think that would have been a lot better if I was just farming Paragon points and farming Greater Rift 80s. And now after the fact that, man, I think I must have done at least 10 Greater Rift 80s and wiped down 4 of them, and then 6 I succeeded. So I don't know, maybe that's not such a smart idea for grinding for Paragon. Maybe I'll back it off even more. Even though I did a Greater Rift 84, maybe I'll take this back to Greater Rift 77 and farm that for a while instead. Because, it doesn't make sense to farm Greater Rifts if you're going to fail them. So I think maybe you'll experience the same things. It all depends on what happens when you hit that max greater rift that you know you can handle. And as you see here in Urshi's little panel, that at rank 80 doing it, that right now the upgrade chance is 60%. So in a rank 80 greater rift, this rank 80 legendary gem has a 60% chance to upgrade. And I don't know how much further I will need to go before that upgrade drops from 60% straight down to 30%. I mean, there's no 50%, there's no 30%, it just goes straight to 30. So you get an upgrade chance of 60% for a little while. Once you hit it, I don't know, maybe you get 5, maybe it's 10 chances. I mean, after you've rolled it successfully, maybe it's somewhere around 5 to 7 successful rerolls before it spills over to upgrade chance of being 30. Oh, and a couple other things. So I made sure that on every greater rift I did, everywhere from 14 all the way here up to 80, I paid the extra gold to get the one extra roll. So I always had 4 rolls, and I'm going to tell you here what in terms of gold that I spent, but realize that while you're doing this, you might make some gold, like if you go and run in a rift and pick up some gold from there, or if you sell an item, or you just start vendor it instead of turning it into disenchanting it and stuff. The total number that I spent, so I started out at 23,900,000,000 and something million. Here I am at 20,100,000,000 and something million. That it was about 3,800,000,000, and that's just rounding it up, gold to level up, to roll to get that extra, pay for that extra 4th roll on this legendary gem to get up to rank 80. So what I think I'm going to do now that I got this is I'm going to throw it onto this Swift mount that I got. And I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this, because look at this. This is really, really good, man. I showed you this. I got this like an hour before I started this whole thing. Those are good stats. I'm tempted to take that reduces cooldown of all skills by 7% and re-roll it to 10%, because right now my cooldown reduction, I'm not 100% on the horse. I really need to get this cooldown reduction up to about 64% in order to be always on my steed charge, to have that always available, to never have that message where it says that ability is not available yet, that split second. But then here I have this. I could try to roll this into a cool, try to get this to 8%. Maybe that'll get me close enough that I'll be happy with it. So since we're here, before I close this off, I'm just going to hit this a couple times. Ooh. Oh, there you go. See, went from 60 straight to 30. No 50, no 40, no nothing. And failed. Alright. Not too bad. Yeah, that was a total of 6 hours for one legendary gem to rank it all the way up to 80. So there you go. Thought I'd share with you what happens at the very end. I hope you guys liked the video. Subscribe if you want to, or just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or no thumb. I don't care. And later, dudes.